All right, Happy New Year. We're going to get started on our back with knees bent and feet flat on the floor. And take the time as you settle into this position to notice the parts of the body that are connected to the floor. So let's just start with the feet. Notice if you feel maybe more weight on the right or the left foot. Notice without looking, and this can help to strengthen our proprioception. If one foot might be turned out or turned in, and adjust the feet. Again, adjusting the feet without looking so that the outsides of the feet are parallel to the outsides of the mat. So that might mean that the toes are just very slightly turned in. And then add just a little bit of pressure onto the feet so that you feel the glutes engage and you may feel the thighs engage. And then just the littlest lift of the hips, maybe just a quarter of an inch, and then lengthen the tailbone. So we just want to try to stretch and lengthen the lower back. And then you lower the tailbone back to the ground. And then let your head just gently flow from side to side and notice how the neck feels. Let it rest so that your gaze is up towards the ceiling. Then take your hands and place them just at the base of the skull, where the skull meets the neck, and just create a little bit of a length here. You can let your hands run all the way up the back of the skull, and then lower your head down, just making sure that you've got space in that cervical spine. Allow your arms to rest to the sides and notice the alignment of the shoulders. Maybe you want to intentionally sort of puff up the chest and slide the upper back down a little bit away from the ears. And just noticing if there's any other little micro movements that you'd like to make in order to invite space, in particular in the back of the body. And we'll do a few rounds of that Uddiyana Bandha breath, a diaphragmatic breath with a little bit of a intentional hold of the breath. So first, as you breathe in, visualize that diaphragm dropping down into the belly. As you breathe out, the diaphragm flies up underneath the ribs. And just repeat this a few times. See if you can visualize that diaphragm dropping into the belly and then flying up under the ribs. And maybe even visualize the diaphragm dropping all the way down into the pelvic area. And then flying up under the ribs, maybe the ribs expand and separate a little bit. Just a couple more rounds of this before we start the retention. All right, your next breath in, the belly expands, the ribs expand, and you pause for a moment, holding breath. And then exhale, release. Two more times. Breathe in, hold the breath, and then exhale, release. Just one more time like this. All right, now this next round, you're going to breathe in, breathe out, hold the breath out, And then when you feel the need to breathe in, allow the breath to come in. Repeat this. As you allow the breath to come in, see if you can resist the natural tendency to sort of rush the breath in. Can you allow the breath to come in slowly? And just experimenting with how much you feel comfortable with keeping the breath out of the body. Just finish up one more round of this. We'll do a few pelvic tilts. So the hands come onto the hips. As you inhale, let the hips roll forward. There's the arching of the lower back. As you exhale, the hips roll back. You feel your lower back contact the floor. And repeat this. This is a nice way to sort of warm up the joints around the hip area. It can be also interesting to just notice left and right if there's a difference in how they're moving. You can add the head here. So as you arch the spine, you drop the chin. As you flatten the spine, you lift the chin. And this can be quite confusing. It's kind of like patting your head and rubbing your belly. So if you're having trouble coordinating this, know that this is all helping to build new neural pathways in the body, coordinating this action. Again, just one more round of this. And then pause in a neutral spine. So neutral spine would be, you could probably slide an index finger underneath the lower back. So it's not flattened, it's not significantly arched. And let's draw the right leg in towards you, clasp behind the thigh, and extend the left leg long. Let's take a few breaths here. Invite that space into the front of the left hip. Feel that left leg heavy. And now, if you like, so this is sort of the more restorative, passive option, you stay right here. If you'd like to work on your core, as you inhale, float the left leg off the ground, just 3 to 4 inches. Now notice what happens to the lower back. If it flattens to the floor, you want to just roll the hips slightly forward so you've got that index finger space. And what you may notice when you do that is you feel the lower belly engage. And just take a couple more breaths here. And then exhale, lower the leg down. And now gently rock the right leg side to side, just massaging out the lower back. Again, warming up that hip. And then you can take that right knee across the body, just a very gentle sort of spinal stretch. We're not going to hold this, and you're not going to go as deep as you can. And then come back to the center. Just a quick little teaser. Draw the left knee in to meet the right, and make some circles with the knees away from each other. And watch that pelvic tilt. So you see the hips roll forward as the knees draw away from you. And then you see the hips, the lower back flattens as the knees come close to you. And now let's reverse the direction. And the knees are close together, lower both feet to the mat. Hug the left leg in. And then slowly stretch the right leg long. And just let that front of that right hip find length. Allow the leg bone to relax and soften in the socket. And just feel any sitting that you may have been doing for the last few days. Just imagine that contraction in this area just melting away with each breath. Now, if you like, on your inhale, you float the right leg off the ground just 3 to 4 inches. I mean, it may depend. You can actually, sort of lift the leg a little higher, a little lower until you feel sort of that engagement through the lower belly. And if you feel the lower back just above the waist, if you feel that in contact with the floor, roll your hips slightly forward so you invite that space back in. And then notice if there's any tendency to hold the breath here. And then release the leg down. Gently rocking that left knee side to side. You can let that left leg come across the body. Just a nice little sort of good morning stretch. So not coming deep into this. You come back to the center. Draw the right knee in to meet the left, and let's make circles with the knees together. And keeping the jaw relaxed, the neck relaxed. And let's reverse the circles. And then pause. Lower the feet to the floor. Once again, without looking, realign your feet. Press into your feet so you feel the muscles hugging the bones. And now float the hips off the floor. So you're in a bridge pose. And now notice the weight on the feet. If there's a tendency to roll to the outside or the inside, and see if you can balance the weight evenly between the inside and the outside of your feet. Invite a gentle stretch along the front of the thighs. Notice the knees. You want to imagine the knees are there's a magnet on the knees and they're just being drawn to another magnet on the wall to the other side. The wall that's straight in front of you. Nice. Now just shift the weight into the left foot. Notice how that feels, whether it feels still stable through the leg. And then put the weight back into the right foot. Shift the weight into the right foot. And then back to center. Engage both glutes. So that's sort of like just tightening the muscles around your butt. Can you just soften the right glute? And then engage it. Can you soften the left glute? And this is a lot more challenging than it may seem. And then hug both. Soften both. Can you just engage the right glute? Soften it. Can you just engage the left glute? Soften it. And then let's just lower down, take a break, hug the knees in. And again, make some circles with the knees, massaging out the lower back, massaging out the glutes. Take the circle in the other direction. And again, that's something that is, reestablishing this body-mind connection, trying to tighten and loosen a particular muscle area. All right, let's lower the legs back down. You're in your bridge pose. On your inhale, press into the feet, let the hips rise. Weight in the left foot. Lower the hips towards the floor. You're just hovering about an inch. And then inhale, press into the left foot, rise. We'll just do that 4 more times. And then exhale, you lower. And you lift. And just do this at your own pace. Again, be very mindful of the knees here. And if you find that this left leg is sort of getting wobbly and there's any sort of wavering of that knee's alignment, just redistribute the weight to the right foot. All right, on your fifth one, just pause and hold. Shift the weight to the right foot. And we'll just repeat that 5 times. You lower down and up. And so this can be interesting to just notice the difference in the 2 sides of the body. Nice. So your knee alignment looks good. Yvonne, you may want to take your feet a little wider apart. Your knees are wider than your feet. Yes. And as long as that feels good, that might be a good alternative or a good adjustment for you. Laurel, your knees look fabulous. Jane, they look great. Cindy, that looks great. After you do 5, just pause and hold. And now slide the block underneath the sacrum. So that bony little triangle that's underneath the arch of your back. And let's just take a little break here. If it feels comfortable, slide and extend the left leg long. Just offering that left psoas a little bit of space, a little release. And then draw that left leg back into your bridge. And extend the right when you're ready. Now just notice if the hips roll forward and you've got too much of an arch in the lower back, this might feel uncomfortable. So again, think about that imaginary drawstring at the front of the hips engaging. And then that should take some of the excessive arch out of the lower back. All right, rebend that right leg. Press into the feet enough to slide the block out. Okay, so you can repeat what we did. Weights on the left foot. Option is to keep the right leg on the ground or extend it up towards the ceiling. And we'll just do 5 lower and lifts. So lowering the hips and then lifting the hips. Okay, just 3 more of these. And again, the leg can be extended towards the ceiling or you could keep it on the floor. You just want to make sure there's no discomfort in any of the joints. And after you do 5, shift the weight evenly between both feet. That's going to require you to lower the right leg if it was lifted. Weight in the right foot. Feel the glute engage. And what you might notice is if you put a little more weight into the heel, you're going to feel that glute fire up. The right leg can extend to the ceiling. And you can do these little pulses, 5 little up and down bridges. Nice. Nice. And just make sure that that lower knee feels okay. Make sure it feels stable here. After you do 5, you're going to lower both feet to the ground. You're in your bridge. And then lower all the way down. Nice. Cross that right ankle over the left. You've got your figure 4. And gently press the right knee away. if you like, you could lift that left foot off the floor. So we're just trying to create some a nice counter stretch for those glute muscles. So it should feel good. If it doesn't, then make adjustments, maybe back off on the variation that you've chosen. And then release both feet to the floor. Cross the left ankle over the right. Gently guiding that left knee away from you. Option to lift the right foot off the floor. And lower down, both feet come on the floor. And let's transition slowly to the side and then up to table. No hurry to get here. Take your time. But once you get here, a little bit of cat and cow. It's going to round out the spine. Nice. And pause in a neutral spine. Extend the left leg straight back and just a little bit of a press and release. Stretching out the calf, creating space in that hip joint. And fingers are spread wide. And if you can, transfer the weight to the thumb and the index finger side of your hand. All right, core is engaged. Pause here. Float the left leg off the floor. Now level off that left hip so that right and left hip are equal. Maybe you extend the right arm. And again, imagine magnets. Magnet on the bottom of the heel, stretching to the back wall. Magnet on the fingertips, stretching to the front wall. Lower the right hand. Take that left leg over towards the right and lower it down. So stretching out the outsides of the hips. And then breathe into the left rib cage. See if you can create space in between the ribs with each breath. Then come back to center. Extend the right leg. And then just a little bit of a press and release. If you keep your gaze towards the floor, that can help to maintain length in the neck. Sometimes if you're looking forward, that can create a little compression in the back of the neck. So directing the gaze, it's probably 6 or 7 inches in front of your fingers. Then float the right leg off the floor. Just re-level. The tendency is for that right hip just sort of hike up higher than the left. So lower it down. When the hips are level, then you've got to use your core instead of stacking the hips and using the bones. Then option to extend the left arm. Again, the magnets are drawing your limbs away. They're creating space in the joints. But it's a gentle sort of lengthening so that we don't overstretch. Here, I lower the hand to the floor, take the right leg over towards the left. Breath inflates the right rib cage. And a gentle reminder to keep pressing into the hands so that the shoulders don't creep up towards the ears. See if you can engage the muscles around the shoulders. Draw the shoulders down the back of the body. And then come back to the center. Option to stretch back to child's pose or maybe a downward dog. And just pedal out the legs. Using this to, again, stretch the muscles, stretch the joints, warm things up a bit. Yeah, Doug, if you can shorten your dog, bring your hands and feet closer, you'll get more length in the lower back. Yeah. Yes, you'll get the rounding out of the lower back. Very nice. A couple more rounds of breath here, just pedaling it out. And then drop on down to table. Come into your Sphinx pose. And if Sphinx pose doesn't feel good, if you've got one of those, I'm going to call them Pilates balls, you could put that under the chest. Sometimes that's a nice way to allow you to feel some of the um, alignment benefits in the lower back of Sphinx pose if Sphinx pose is uncomfortable for you. And if that doesn't work, you can drop on down to crocodile. So take a few breaths in your Sphinx. Nice. Again, think of those shoulder blades draping down the back of your body. Nice. Oh, these look great. Now you could stay here, or you could lift up into a variation of plank. So maybe just the belly lifts, maybe the hips lift, or maybe the thighs come up as well. Now gaze towards the floor. Imagine you've got a block between the thighs. The thighs are spinning in, and there's that imaginary drawstring at the front of the hips. Nice, and take breaks whenever you like. Yeah, one more round of breath. And then we're going to lower all the way down for Shalabhasana. So arms are to the sides, foreheads to the mat, legs are glued together. So it's like you have a tail. Now, relax the glutes. Press into the right leg. And then let the left leg lift just to the point where you feel the back of the leg. So the back of the thigh engage. If you feel the glutes engage, lower down. So again, we're trying to just isolate the muscles. Now lift a little higher so you feel the glutes. And then lift a little higher so you feel that space just above the glutes, right around the lower waist area. And if there's any discomfort, so if there's any tingling or pinching, you lower right back down to the previous variation. And then lower down. Press into the right leg. So you're pressing into, press into the left foot, the left thigh. And you might just feel the right leg get a little lighter. And imagine that right leg floats up. And you're just feeling the back of the thigh engage. So this is a little sort of head game. Can you keep the right glute relaxed? So intentionally relaxing the right glute, but have the right back of the thigh, the right hamstring engaged. And then lift up so you feel the right glute. And maybe you lift up. Again, make sure there's no pinching. If there's pinching, lower down. Maybe you feel that area on the lower waist on the right side of the body. And then lower down. Ooh, take a couple of breaths, bend the knees, and just windshield wiper the legs. And this is a nice way to kind of massage out the front of the thighs. You might feel those in your squats coming up. Let's just warm those up. Let's get the muscles ready. Release the legs down. press up through table. Once again, either press back to a child's pose or maybe a downward dog. Now we're using this as sort of a counter pose. So this is just to release any tightness or fatigue or whatever may have creeped into your body from the previous poses. Nice. All right, one more breath. And now let's lower the knees down. And we're going to come onto our backs. But before you do, I just want to demonstrate what we're going to be doing because sometimes when you're on your back, it's difficult to kind of look up towards the camera. So we're going to be doing a squat from lying down. So we can focus on the alignment before we put pressure on the joints. So when you're on your back, so there's two types of squats we're going to practice. One is going to be like a parallel, knees going straight forward. The other one, your feet are going to be turned out and the knees are going to go out. So the first thing, and I'll just do this quick before I guide you through it, is my feet are parallel and I'm just going to, without using my hands, I'm going to draw my knees towards. Now, as I draw my knees towards me, I feel my lower back lift off the ground. I want to keep my lower back on the ground. So this is my sort of squat limit without using my hands. Now, if I rotate my feet out and I make my base wider, I can go a bit deeper. So just kind of noticing what this looks like. All right, so I'll guide you on your back. Does that make sense to everyone? All right, so on your backs. So now the first one we do, knees are hips distance and feet are aligned with the knees. Arms are to the ground and you're just going to draw, and you can use your core for this, draw your knees towards your, just towards your torso. Now, do you notice your lower back come off the ground? Sort of roll your lower back so that it's on the ground and you might lose some of your depth. And just take a couple of breaths here. And notice the degree of bend in your knees. Now, rotate the toes out. Let your legs come a little bit wider, so even wider than your shoulders. And now draw the knees towards the outsides of your shoulders. And that's just a general direction. And also notice the difference in the muscles depending on the different variations. Now keep the tailbone on the ground. And you might notice one leg has a different sort of alignment than the other. All right, and then let's just release down, lower the feet to the ground. And you're just going to roll to your side, and we'll come up to standing to try that out. So any questions on that? Any questions or observations you want to discuss in your body? Yes, Jane.
Can I stay on my back?
Yes, yes. So Jane, that's a really excellent option. Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm gonna.
All right. Perfect.
Oh, good.
Okay. Awesome. That's a great variation. All right. So we're going to do that same alignment check. So knees are under the hips. I'm going to come to the side here. So just like we don't want the tailbone coming up, we want to keep the alignment in the spine. So you're going to bend the knees, the hips go back, and the spine stays long. If you put a little more weight into your heels, you're going to feel your glutes. And then really press into the feet to rise up. And there's a little bit of an over-exaggeration. You come up and you squeeze the glutes. And you might be able to do that, Jane. You might be able to straighten your legs and then squeeze your glutes. I'm not sure. I haven't tried this out on my back, so I'll be interested in your feedback. Now, bend the knees, sit back down. We're going to do 3 of these. And I'm just going to check y'all here. So nice long spine. Cindy, that looks great. Sometimes it's helpful like to put your palms together. I don't know that I think Yvonne's doing that. That can be a nice, sometimes with our hands we're like, what do we do? Weight in the heels. And then press into the heels, rise up, squeeze the glutes. And then there's a little bit of a pressing of the hips forward. So one more like this. Palms pressed together. You sit back. Now just notice where you feel this. Are you feeling this in your glutes? Are you feeling it in your lower back? You don't want to feel it in your lower back, so you come up if that's the case. Then press into the heels, rise up, and a little pressing forward of the hips. Nice. All right, now we're going to do the wider one. So readjust your feet so they're about shoulder width apart, and then the feet are turned out, maybe 20 degrees. Now, really important as your feet are turned out to watch the knees align. You want them to go towards the pinky toe. And actually, that seems like it's even a little too close. So I probably got about 2.5 feet between my knees. And again, you want the hips to be going back. You're engaging your core, weights in the heel. This time you may feel a little bit of stretch in the thighs, inner thighs, and then root to rise. You come up, and again, there's a little bit of a pressing forward, a nice little stretch on the front of the hips as the legs straighten. And two more times. You press back, spine is long, you're flexing here at the hips, and then press into the heels, rise up, stretch the front of the hips. One more time, sit back. And then you rise. Nice. Take the feet together, just kind of shake out whatever needs to be shaken out. And we'll do a little warrior two, a little warrior two flow. That's kind of like one leg is going to be in your squat as we do this. Sometimes a flow can be nice just to kind of let go and not have to think so much. So take your blocks to the front of your space. Nice. When you're ready, inhale, reach up, stretch, take a gentle back bend. Exhale, fold halfway. Push your hands into your leg, nice long spine. On your exhale, step the right leg back for warrior two. All right, so we're spinning the back foot in a little bit if that makes the knee feel better. So this front leg is like our sumo squat. Straighten the knee. And then very mindfully, just watch how that knee is tracking. And again, if you're concerned about your knee, ease off. Less is better here. Now, the hips are opening to the long edge of your mat, as are the shoulders. Then cross the wrist, inhale, stretch up, and then exhale, the arms extend out to the side. Take a peek out over the left fingertips. And now let's flow. Straighten, reach the arms up. Exhale, bend and lower the arms. Yeah, you're following that left hand with your gaze. Yeah, one more time. Pause here. All right, flip the left palm up, reach up and back. Continue breathing. Inhale through warrior two. Keep going. We're going to come to the front of the mat. If you can reach your blocks, hands come to the blocks and you step forward. If not, you just get there in any way that makes sense for you. And then inhale, you rise. If you're not there already. Exhale, fold halfway. Press into the legs. Now see if you can get some length in that lower back. So you're pressing into the legs and the tailbone draws back. So we're trying to find some space here. And then on your exhale, step the left leg back for your warrior two. Take a peek of the front knee, straighten it, and then just watch the alignment. And then feel the stretch in that inner thigh. Hips and shoulders to the long end of the mat. Cross the wrist. Inhale, sweep up, extend out. Look out over the right fingertips this time. And then we flow. Straighten and reach and bend and lower. Yeah, 2 more times. Pause in your warrior two. After you've done 3, flip the right palm, reach up and back. Nice. Inhale through warrior two. Keep going. You're going to step to the front of the mat. And inhale, rise, gentle back bend. Exhale. Just let the palms come down to the center of your heart. Take a breath. Notice how the body feels. And we'll do another round, maybe a little bit quicker. Maybe we'll add a few things to it. Inhale, reach up, gentle back bend. On your exhale, fold halfway, pressing into the thighs. Nice long spine. Exhale, step the right leg back, open right up into your warrior two, and flow in and out. Nice. Next time in your warrior two, pause here. Let this left hand or forearm come to the thigh, side angle. Now press into the outside of that right foot so you feel a line of stretch on the right side of the body. Then inhale through warrior two and reverse. Nice. Inhale through warrior two. Keep going to the front of the mat. Inhale, rise, gentle back bend. Exhale, fold halfway. Press into the legs, nice long spine. On your exhale, left leg steps back, come right into your warrior two. And just begin to flow when you're ready. Maybe you close your eyes. Just watch the sensations. Some of you in your warrior two, pause here. Right hand or forearm on the thigh. Left arm overhead if that works. Inhale through warrior two and then reverse. Inhale through warrior two. Keep going. Into the front of your mat. And inhale, rise, gentle back bend. Exhale, release forward. Press into the legs, nice long spine. And then keep pressing the hands down the legs till you come into a forward fold. Try to relax the head, the neck, the shoulders, the jaw. Let it all go. Maybe allow the body to just gently sway like seaweed. Just notice the back of the legs if there's a lot of stretching, excessive stretching, especially behind the knees. Put a little bend in the knees. And then hands come to the hips. And inhale, you rise up. Take a gentle back bend. Nice. Let's step the right leg back for warrior one. So hips are facing towards the short end of the mat. You can give yourself enough space on that back foot so that there's no discomfort in the hip or knee or any joints. Inhale, rise the arms up. And exhale, straighten the knee, lower the arms. Let's just do this a couple more times. Next time the arms are up, pause here. Nice. Now you're welcome to stay here. The other option is going to be to dive forward, sweeping the arms back. So this is going to be a lot of it's going to require a lot of strength and stability for this left leg. You might find your knee is wobbling, so just make sure you don't go too far so that the stability of the knee is sacrificed. Press into that back foot. Engage the core. A couple more breaths here. And then inhale, you rise up. Hands come to the hips. Slide the back leg in, maybe about a foot. So we're in the pyramid pose, and the front knee straightens. Hands come behind you. If you can, clasp opposite elbows. And let the forearms rest on the lower back so that the upper back opens up. Maybe imagine a light fishing line, the center of your chest, and it's being drawn up towards the ceiling. See if you can keep that gentle arch in the upper back. Now, if your lower back has been a little cranky, hands are going to come to the hips. If the lower back feels okay, you begin to fold forward at the hips. So not at the waist, but at the hips. And again, as you're doing this, if you feel the lower back needs some support, you just put your hands on the hips. Now imagine you're stretching the mat apart between your feet. Now that front knee is straight but not locked. All right, nice. Very nice. And you're breathing. All right, so this is sometimes referred to as extreme hamstring stretch. Now on your inhale, root down through the legs and you rise up. Take a gentle back bend. This is called stargazer. So press into the right big toe mount. That's going to help your balance. So we've got to balance the fact that our torso is bending towards the back. So we put a little more weight into that front foot. Exhale, come to neutral. Step the back foot up to meet the front. Nice. Hands come to the hips. And we'll step the left leg back for warrior one. And take the time, sort of adjust the spacing of the legs so that knees and hips and all joints feel good. The front knee is bent. And then the arms rise up. And then you flow. And next time you in warrior one, just pause here for a moment. And then if it feels all right, and this side might be different than the other, you fold towards the inside of that right leg. Again, this is putting a lot of pressure on the knee. It's putting a lot of pressure on that right glute. So just notice if this is a good option for you. You're breathing. Just two more breaths. And then you rise up, take a gentle back bend. Hands come to the hip, and you step the back foot in maybe a foot. So the right foot is in front, the left foot is back. The right knee is straight, the back knee is straight. Now, take your hands behind you, and then switch which elbow is in front. You probably feel that differently in the shoulders. Engage the core. So there's that belly expands with the breath. And then as you exhale, underneath the ribs and you fold forward. Now see if you can keep the neck and the jaw relaxed. Imagine a beam of light right in the center of your chest, and you shine it 5 feet out in front of you. Imagine you're stretching your yoga mat apart. And then inhale, you rise. Pause here, gently pressing the forearms against the lower back. Imagine that fishing line right in the center of the chest, drawing it up towards the ceiling. Shoulders are draping down your back. And you come to neutral. Release the hands to the hips and step the back foot up to meet the front. Nice job. All right. Let's just do a little forward fold to flush all that out, and then we'll come to the mat. So inhale, reach up, gentle back bend. On your exhale, fold forward. Press into the legs. Pause here for a moment. Just check in with the lower back. Draw the tailbone towards the wall behind you. Crown of the head towards the wall in front of you. And then let the hands slide down the legs. Relax the neck, the jaw, and the shoulders. And then when you're ready, make your way down onto your mat. Take your time. Maybe put on any layers that you might, maybe adding your socks back. And we'll be using a block and a tie. Again, you may want to have a blanket or shavasana nearby when that time comes. Once you're ready, you just come onto your back just as we started. There's no hurry. Your knees are bent. And you just feel the floor underneath you. Maybe observing if the floor feels any different than it did at the beginning of your practice. So with your knees bent, grab your tie. Draw the right leg in towards you, and the tie goes just in front of the heel. You press the heel in towards the tie. Take a couple of breaths. And then slowly extend the left leg long. Tie comes in the right hand. And let that right leg come out to the side. This is kind of like our triangle pose, but on our back. And then inhale, come back up through center. Tie in the left hand, let the right leg come across the body. And if you've got your block nearby, you could let the leg rest on the block. And maybe use your hand to just guide that right hip away from you. When you're ready, inhale the leg back up. Remove the tie. Hug the knee. Take a few breaths. Settle out the lower back. Settle out the hips. And take that right knee across the body. Again, you can let it land on the block if it's nearby. And that right arm can extend out if that feels comfortable. Left hand can just gently rest on that right thigh. And then inhale back to the center. Give that knee a little hug. And then draw the left knee in. Lower the right foot to the floor. And the tie goes on the heel. And just allow the back of the leg to find length. A bit of work with the hamstrings today. So just allow them to reset. Maybe you can extend that right leg. You just do that slowly. And the tie comes in the left hand, and you release that left leg out to the left. Inhale back through center. Tie comes in the right hand, and the leg goes over to the right. As you breathe and watch, just notice how could you make this pose any more delicious? Maybe adding props, maybe going deeper, maybe backing off. Just practice observing the body and just experimenting with different adjustments. Because ideally in yoga, we strengthen that connection, that intuition to what our body needs. And then we become the experts of our body. Inhale back up to center. You can remove the tie, hug the knee. Feel the lower back, the back of the hips, completely melting into the floor with each exhale. And then there, left knee comes across the body for your spinal twist. And then inhale back to center. Little hug. And then extend it long. And just notice if there's any final poses you'd like to take before final relaxation. Maybe elevating the hips on a block, or maybe taking a little bit longer in Shavasana. Allow your next breath to be a little longer and a little deeper. When you're ready, you can invite some gentle movements. Maybe just starting with fingers and toes and just slowly moving up to larger movements when your body feels ready. And in your own time, you can make your way to your side, but there's no hurry. Because you'll just pause here and take a moment to offer gratitude to your body for all that it does. Sometimes we don't notice until a body part is maybe compromised in its ability to do what it typically does. So just taking a moment now and just offering gratitude to your body for all the things it does without us typically noticing. And offer yourself gratitude for taking this time to do something good for your body, your mind, your spirit. And when you're ready, you can come up to seated if you're not there already. And if you'd like to join me in a chant of Om, take a deep breath in. Om. Namaste. Happy New Year. Thank you guys for joining me.